Twist those. Cool. Can you guys hear the
Uh,
banging in the background?
Perfect in schlag. I couldn't have timed that any better. We are live. Welcome to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we take our petty and ill-informed opinions over a variety of subjects. As you hear, Nikki is busy twisting her thingies.
Yes, and there's lots of slapping and banging going on.
Slapping and twisting going on in Nikki's house right now.
Oh god, I'm gonna close the door so you guys can't hear it.
Okay, Tom, how are you this week?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, because I started work at my new job, and it's a special needs school, and 2 days training, and reading policies and stuff, and then I've had 2 days so far in class, and it's definitely a case of so far so good. Starting to find my feet there a bit. The team I'm working with are absolutely brilliant. There's loads of friendly, smiley people to wave to in the corridors. Richard, I'm sure you can't think of anything worse, so you're probably glad you're not working there also.
Tom, you are by far and away one of the most kindest and compassionate people I know, and you are the best person to work with special needs kids, so I'm glad you've got that job.
Oh,
Kevin,
thanks.
how was your week?
Good. It was good, mate. It's been a bit of a weird one for me, and some different things that every minute I've thought, okay, this is it. I've got this. I got a good grasp on it. Something else has come up. So this year so far been very, very busy, but that's okay. I made up for it by watching a lot of soap operas, as you do.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. We are going to be doing our EastEnders show this. Are we doing it this week or?
Yeah, whenever you want to, mate. I'm all ready now. It's just for the last week, every time I've had 2 seconds to do something, I've ended up and had an infection this week, and we went to the emergency room, and boy, can I tell you, people say that the NHS is backed up. I've never seen anything like this, and this I've never seen anything like this was. But anyway, won't go into it because I don't know. I haven't been back home for a while, so I haven't been to emergency room there. But we were talking about half a day's wait to try to get to see a doctor.
That's what they're saying. I don't know how true or not that is.
Yeah.
Nikki, how was your week?
Good. I am done with my stressful job and we'll be starting a new one Monday.
Yay.
I'm very excited.
So you're not working at the surgery center anymore?
Nope, I'm working at another surgery center doing the same thing.
Oh.
But for less dicky people.
Basically.
Good stuff. I've had a pretty good week myself, just recovering after Christmas. New Year's resolutions. Did you have any New Year's resolutions, Tom?
Wait a minute. Wait, you don't get off that easy. What did
I'm the host.
I understand, but what did you do on New Year's Eve? The whole idea.
What does any red-blooded man do on New Year's Eve? I got absolutely paralytic.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, any stories? Come on, be honest.
No, it was really dull, actually. In fact, I quit drinking at 11:30 because I was like, I'm just drinking for the sake of drinking, and I started drinking water. I rang in the bells, we did Old Lang Syne and all that. Watched Big Ben, but just, got drunk, watched TV.
Where were you?
At home.
Did you have anyone over?
Yeah, parents and my brother.
Cool.
We did the old, held hands and did the old Lang Syne thing.
And why not?
And why not? I cooked a fucking fantastic Christmas lunch and New Year's Day lunch, though. We had lamb on Christmas Day. I brined that meat. It just fell off the bone. Yorkshire puddings were perfect. triple fried the roast potatoes, so they came out crispy and delicious. It was absolutely lovely.
Yeah. See, that's my, out of all that, even though probably the potatoes cost the least to do, other than, like the Yorkshire puds, but I love a crispy potato. There's nothing better. There's just nothing better.
How do you triple fry roast potatoes?
All right, so to start with, you parboil them so they're nice,
Right.
and then you put them in the fryer, drop them down, you cook them until they look done, then you pull them out for 5 minutes, and then you put them down for another 5 minutes, then you pick them up again, and then you put them down again.
Mm-hmm.
In a deep fat fryer.
Yeah, in a chip pan.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah,
Why?
that's what I do.
How do you do roast potatoes?
Well, just nothing quite so sophisticated. We'll just put them in, parboil them for about between 8 and 10 minutes, and then pour oil and salt all over them, and then shake them round so they fluffs up the edges. Do that in the saucepan, then just pour them out onto a baking tray of a preheated oven and do them for about 40 minutes.
40 minutes? There's no way they can get crispy enough.
Yeah, but see, that's what they show you on the. I mean, to be honest with you, Tom is right in the fact that that's how they will show you how to do it, Richard. That's how they show you how to do it, as far as making that. If you look at any cooking program, that's how they tell you how to do it. They say,
I forgot 2 ingredients. When you pour the oil in, or also chuck in loads and loads of garlic and rosemary.
right.
Do rosemary garlic roast potatoes. It's still, you're right though, it's still not, they're not perfect. They're nice, but they're not exquisite.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, you do veganism.
But a lot of people don't have. But a lot of people don't have a deep fat fryer.
No, we
Well,
don't.
you don't have a saucepan and oil.
Don't have that much oil. You'd need a hell of a lot for deep frying.
Yeah, and not to mention, the average British man is afraid of a chip pan, because what is it? How many fires a year start from chip fan fires? It's a lot.
Only morons that pour water on set fire to their house with a chip pan fire. I've done it a bunch of times. You just put a blanket over and it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, and you're a great cook.
No, but I'm saying it's like the idea of, I mean, you know what I'm saying is, like, here's the thing. It's like guys trying to cook a frozen turkey in one of them turkey fryer things. It's all covered in water and everything like that. They put it in, boils over, everything starts on fire. The difference is, this is on your cooker, and so that's the way that goes. I just remember chip pan fires. I mean, I remember like PS public service announcements about chip pan fires back in like the 80s or something. I don't know. I'm just getting old. That's whenever we didn't worry about other stuff. You could smoke, drink, and the things that was going to kill you was chip pan fires.
Wow.
A simpler time, and we still had leaded gasoline and all those different things. And that's no comment.
No, it's fine. Finish your thought.
No, I'm just saying that's why like for a lot of reasons we died earlier. You know what I mean? And that's maybe not so bad. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine being old, really old. I just can't imagine it sometimes. I feel sorry for old people when I watch them. Maybe it was because of Dot on EastEnders. Poor old Dot.
Oh, so here we go. So why do we want to talk about EastEnders? What's the big deal, guys?
Okay, shut up, Tom. First of all. That reminds me. Okay, I got Tom really badly earlier this week, and he still doesn't realise. I was hoping he'd clock onto it by now, but apparently he hasn't. I
No.
convinced Tom that Nikki's a mental case.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
He told me what he did, and I haven't
I
gotten that
told her
book
right
yet.
away, and
You, you total arsehead! You are. Oh my days!
what were you expecting me to do? Show genuine compassion and consideration, or mess with you? It's like you don't know me at all sometimes.
Great.
Well, I thought shit had just got serious, as you put it. And more fool me for bloody believing you. You're the boy who cried wolf. One day you're gonna have a freak accident with a combine harvester, and you're gonna phone me up and you go, Tom, I know you're on holiday in the area. Please come and rescue me. And I'm going, like, yeah, pull the other one, and you'll
Okay,
die in agonising pain.
First of all, Tom, the moral of the boy who cried wolf is not never tell lies. It's never tell the same lie twice. And I don't care how many times I tricked you. If I asked you for help, you'd come and help me. You're just that much of a sap.
Guilty as charged. Yeah.
I believe that he's a nice man. He's nice. You know what I mean? He's
Earlier this year,
he's
Richard
not
and
jaded
Nikki.
like me and you, Richard.
No, seriously, earlier this year, Richard and Nikki had to talk to me sternly for about an hour to prevent me from being too nice. Facts.
It's very true.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, but you see that's one of those situations where those types of scenarios only end in tears. Only end in tears. You can. I mean, I don't even know what it is, but I'm just saying, if they both told you to not do something, all I'm imagining is that you were going to go in like Prince Valiant and then get kicked in the nuts. You never want to.
Well, from one member of the team not knowing the other at all to the other one reading to someone reading me like a goddamn book. Yeah, absolutely right. Were you there? Were you still live and listening in?
No, I was not. But I'm
You
just.
may as well have been.
Well, you know how it is. You know how it is. You and I are both teachers, Tom. By profession, and we know how to size people up pretty quick. You know, we know how. I mean, part of being a teacher is to being able to assess a student so they don't get taken advantage of by another student. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, I've had kids that'll run other kids around. You know what I mean? They'll have them doing their homework and doing this and that and everything else because they're just nice and they're trying to help out and they're trying to be part of it. And you're a helper. That's what you are. And so that's why if we were working together, I would totally be like, "Hey, Tom, let me see. Let me see your syllabus here for today?" Then I'd steal it, I'd nick it, and then put my name on it and turn it into the head, and then they'd be like, and then you turn yours in, and it'd be like, "Oh, Tom's got one just like your Kevin's," and I'd be like, "I know, Tom's always trying to get his ones off me, and he's trying to."
Well,
then
it's fine.
I'd take under the bus.
That's all absolutely totally true, Kevin. It's a fine line, however, between helping someone and enabling them. And that's the distinction that Nikki very, very astutely drew.
Well, that's it. We didn't have enablers when I was growing up, though. You know what I mean? That whole idea, that whole idea of codependency and enablers those were foreign words. I didn't even we wouldn't have known what you were talking about if you would have said that. Imagine saying being an enabler or a codependent person in Northern Ireland in the 1970s. It just wouldn't have flown. You know what I mean? Would not have flown.
In my experience, people have different understandings of the term codependency.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that kind of idea of codependency, in the series, I mean, in all seriousness, the idea of love and codependency, it's almost like to a certain degree, you would have, if you would have said that back in sort of, the 1914 or 1920 or something like that. Codependency might not be a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Kevin, can we just roll this back a second, please? What do you understand by the term codependency?
Well, what I'm saying is that the two people, my understanding of it, and I could be wrong, but my understanding of it is that two people basically who have pernicious needs from psychologically find each other, and the two people then basically feed off each other, and they get what they need from the other person. Well, it's sort of a parasitic, attachment rather than anything else. It's not like you lead. The idea of the nuclear family, the atomic family, is we all sort of stand on our own 2 feet, and we're in a relationship with somebody else because they make it better. Whereas when you're getting married, of course, it says for better or worse, right? So that's what I'm saying. Isn't for better or worse sort of a codependent? That's like you're entering into a codependent relationship. I mean, isn't that what that means? Or am I wrong? Am I taking it way too far?
Yeah, I think you're taking it too far.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, back on topic. New Year's resolutions. Does anyone have any New Year's resolutions?
No.
Well, I have two. One is significant, one is not. So was that just an English pleasantry? You don't actually want us to answer in the affirmative, Richard? Am I now wasting your time?
No, that was my Nikki side because, she's just like, no, and just closed it down.
Okay.
That was the same size she usually gives me, but I gave it to her. And from the other side, it's really annoying. Can I just say that?
Whereas when you do it, it's absolutely fine, of course. Obviously. I had two. One of them is quite simply to, by and large, succeed in my new job and not and just not make a complete hash of it, basically. That's one. And two, second one, can't even bloody count to two, for fuck's sake. Other thing is me
You're
and
gonna be a great teacher.
Yeah, I know, outstanding. That's why I'm going to special needs. And and yeah, I had this. All it is I'm on very friendly terms with one of the guys who works at the branch of Aldi that I go to, the local supermarket, a guy called Chris. And me and him made a pact that we're going to go out for a drink at some point in 2023. I mean, we've got 52 weeks to make it happen, so hopefully we'll pull it off at some point.
Okay.
So yeah, not very exciting, really. I mean,
Gabby, you are about as helpful as a screen door on a submarine. I don't think you can stick to that one, Gabby. So what was the significant one, Tom?
And he's going on a date with the dude from Aldi.
No. The only significant one is, well, I've already said them both, just to make the most of this opportunity with this job. Just knuckle down, focus, hopefully work in more sensible hours than I have done for years, and not be working at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night. That's the plan. Just to make the most of it and make it happen, make it work.
That's cool. SoFlo wants to finish his screenplay. What's your screenplay about, SoFlo? Kevin, do you have any resolutions?
I don't know, man. I just, from that standpoint, I just want to keep on going. I want to keep on trucking. I don't want to get. I want to try to be out and be more active this year than I was before. So, I think that's what I want to do. I want to try to go out and about more and get out of the house, get out of the doldrums that I'm in. As far as like we were talking before, and Nikki and I said, I mean, basically, I'm like a limpet. You just got to freaking unclamp me to try to get me to go anywhere, and I need to break that. I need to get.
All right. You need to get out.
I'm very much the same way. I just hate leaving the house, man. Why?
Kevin's a
Why should
limpet.
I?
Nikki's one of those clams that attaches itself to the bottom of deep sea and refuses to move under any circumstances.
Yes, that is accurate, actually.
She'll also eat your leg if you get too close.
That is also true.
And what's your resolution there, Ricardo?
I'm cutting down on sugar, and it's going well.
Oh,
I
what
tried
do
to give it up entirely, but I went into withdrawal. True story. So instead, I've resolved to cut down instead of giving it up.
Yeah, you've got to do that in stages. It's kind of like trying to cut down on. It's trying to like cut down on caffeine. It's virtually impossible to do it all at once. I mean, did you start getting headaches and all the rest of it?
Headaches, shivers, the whole thing. I thought there was something wrong with me, but no, it was just withdrawal because I cut it out completely.
Yeah, well, your pancreas doesn't know what to do. You see, that's what's happening is that you're basically shocking your organs. So it's starting to not. It thinks, okay, Richard at this point in time usually has this type of a meal and blah blah blah. So I'm going to produce this much insulin, and so because you're not doing that, then that you were actually probably getting a little hypoglycemic. So got to change it. You got to change it a little bit so that you can get onto a better way. But it does take a while, and you know what I mean. It's But it's good for you. Good for you if you can do it. Good for you if you can do it.
Yeah, well, I've kept up with it. The main problem with cups of tea, I've gone from having sugar in all my tea to having 1 teaspoon at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, and that's keeping withdrawal off my
You
back.
don't like other kind of sweeteners at all, like the Splenda or the Truvia or whatever, which is like I think one of those is like no, I know Splenda isn't, but isn't Truvia like a derivative of the sugar plant? So it just doesn't have the glucose in it, but it tastes like sugar. I'm not sure. I have always just been like NutraSweet, and everybody's like, oh, you're going to get cancer and die. It's like, okay, well, I could either get cancer and die or just drink sugar and, and then have high blood sugar and die, or I could not have any sugar and all and be a prick and die. So
those are coming, but that's the resolution I made, and I have so far stuck with it. So, but it has only been a week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you start, I mean, what do they say? 17 days. It takes 17 days for anything to become a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you get past those first 17 days, and that's it, it does get easier. But it's like whenever I quit smoking, you know what I mean? I think it was, it's been more than 2 years now that I've stopped smoking. And there's still days that I wake up or in the middle of the night and I'm like, I wake up and I just think to myself, oh man, another couple hours, I'm going to be able to get up and get a smoke. And then I'm like, oh fuck, I don't smoke anymore. Christ. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad I did quit. It's better for me that I don't smoke, but I've never gotten, I've quit doing a lot of different things in my life, but the smoking thing has been tough. You know what I mean? I remember being in certain situations where I'm like, okay, I've gone to places where I can't smoke there. Like I've gone and not smoked for a month, but then I think to myself, okay, once this month is over, I can start smoking again. And that sort of gets me through it. But it's the idea of never smoking again. That's really trips my head sometimes. I don't know.
My kid busted me a couple of weeks, like a month ago or so, and he kicks my ass for it. And he bloody uses and abuses it though. He says, I say, Dan, come on, time to do your history homework. I'll do my homework when you give up smoking.
Good one.
Well, I
respect your kid.
Well,
it's his get out of jail free card for bloody everything. I tell you.
Why? You're the adult. Who gives a shit what he has to say?
Yeah, but but I'm telling you. I can't say what it's like in Britain. I've never raised children in Britain, but I know that there are. I mean, the way that they do the anti-smoking things in schools around here and everything, like they scare the crap out of the kids as far as what smoking is like and about and everything, and they pull out the organs and everything like that, and show people black lung and everything, and then the kids come. I remember whenever I was, my kids were probably in the third or fourth grade, they would come home and they would hound the crap out of me. You know what I mean? It's like it was like, you know, it's like if they were like members of the Hitler Youth. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell on you, daddy, for smoking, you know? And, but that was the way that was. And so, I mean, do I understand why they were doing it? Yeah. Can I understand why some people get pissed off at what happens at schools? Yes. You know what I mean? Because it does seem like, from that standpoint, exactly, Nikki, whenever your kid comes home and starts telling you what to do and you're the adult, then it's, even if it's for your own good, quote unquote, it pisses you
Yeah,
off.
you still get to tell your crotch goblin to shut up.
Yeah, Nikki didn't like the way Madison used to talk to me either.
Dude, that used to drive me banana sandwich.
Whoa. Alison?
No. Madison.
Oh, Madison, sorry.
Yeah.
Not that I know who that is either.
That was my daughter.
Oh.
And Nikki didn't like the way she spoke to me either.
No,
but-
it used to make me so mad.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing, Laura. I think that this is where we get into these ideas of culture war. You know,
Yeah.
you can say to me, you know, a lot of different things, but it does seem like when your child goes home and tries to get into it with the parent, it's you know, I know shit's going to roll downhill and hit me. You know what I mean? That I just know that. You know what I mean? And if it's that's a thing where, you know, I was always lucky enough when I was teaching to sort of avoid those situations where it was like, you know, where I'd get a lot of blowback for something like that, because I would try to temper it, you know what I mean, and just say, okay, well, parents can do what they want to do and everything. This is something that you probably shouldn't do, but you should talk to your parents about whether it's, you know, right for your family or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's how it would be if you. But you know, I would never say go home and tell your parents this is what they need to do.
Right.
And I think that some teachers do that. You know what I mean? And so that's just asking for trouble. But I think in one of those situations, it's like they don't necessarily teach you how to deal with adults. They just teach you how to deal with children whenever you're teaching. And obviously, a large majority of teaching is dealing with the adults whenever the child gets in a little bit of trouble, you know, and how to handle it. And so this is the thing that I've found, you know, whenever you're trying to deal with it, it's the drama between the parent and the teacher, and that can create so much issue. You know what I mean? Which I understand, but you know, a lot of people don't understand that's a skill that you have to have, I think, in teaching or dealing with anybody, really. If you were a tutor or whatever, you'd have to do it because you'd expect that.
Right.
I don't know.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, what's going on in the chat? SoFlo responded his screenplay's about Bigfoot. That's a pretty good, easy screenplay, SoFlo, if I'm honest. You know, man one, shall we find Bigfoot? Waffle, 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 waffle. Man one, couldn't find him. Movie over. You're welcome.
I don't think, and I think you're going from the wrong standpoint on that one, and I would like to see his treatise of the subject, how he treats the subject, as far as is it a scary film, is it a sort of a tender film, is it more of a film of self-exploration, Is it a film where you believe that you found something and you necessarily don't see it? What is it? I mean, because to me, if I was going to do a film about Bigfoot, that's what it would be about. Is whether it would be about self exploration. I've helped other people come up with ideas for their movie treatises and things like that, and a lot of them want to do it in a sort of a slowly uh, revealing way about who's the animal and who's the beast and who all these different things, because you can really get into the whole idea of, is an animal more human than we are, or is it worse, or is it, I mean you can get into a situation where, oh yeah, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm going to go kill the predator. That's one sense of a movie, and then there's the other one where it's
That
like,
escalated quickly. Why would Predator be in a Bigfoot movie?
well, you know what I'm
Why would
saying.
Arnold Schwarzenegger be in a Bigfoot movie?
Well, I'm saying, okay, now look, there was those guys, in Spokane that were going to make that movie supposedly 2 years ago, the Siege at Alpha 5, which for some reason was going to have everybody in it, and then never happened. And then they were going to have another movie that they were going to film last summer that I've never heard anything about either. I mean, all I'm saying is, if it were me, I would get some kind of perspectives from this person if they said, "Hey, do you want to invest in my movie?" That's all I would say about that. But but obviously his idea of Bigfoot is, it's a scary thing, and they're going to trap you, and then you got to kill it. That's all I'm saying. That's one type of Bigfoot movie. Then there's the like the sort of Harry and the Hendersons type movie, where you get into a situation where it's funny and it's part of the family, and you got to let it go again because it's part of nature, and maybe you revere nature more whenever you didn't. That's what I'm saying. There's lots of different ways to go with it. There's Littlefoot movies, or Little Hairy Man, or whatever, Yeti movies or something. It just depends on how you're gonna treat the subject.
Less is more. Okay, you never want to directly show the Bigfoot. You just want to insinuate its existence.
I think you're right. I think you're dead on right there. I think you're one of those things where the minute you show it, you've lost. Because to be honest with you, after dealing with Bigfoot people for a very, very long time, there's different ideas of what Bigfoot looks like, and the ones that I believe the most don't look anything like Patty. You know what I mean? Don't look anything like that. And if you talk to Native Americans, they'll say, I don't know what that is, but that's not a Bigfoot. You know what I mean? So you can't. So if you're in the idea of trying to show that, which is what most people think a Bigfoot looks like, you can't really show it too much, because of the fact that the idea of even showing it will turn some people off. They'll say, well, that's not what it looks like. That's not what I saw. This is what I mean, that's not right. And people in Bigfoot world are very pedantic about different types of things, and they'll say, this is this, and it has this kind of sagittal crest, and this and that, and this and that, which may or may not be true. I mean, obviously we don't know, because we've never really found any direct evidence other than photographic evidence, which can be hoaxed. You know what I mean? And so that's a Patterson Gimlin film could be a hoax. All these foot casts could be a hoax. So you have really no evidence of anything other than sort of anecdotal sightings. So what do you do?
Good point. What would you? Yeah. What about you, Tom? Have you ever wanted to write a screenplay?
A screenplay. I had a couple of ideas for books that I might do, but a screenplay. One. I had one idea for a screenplay actually. It would be a story. Well, it's probably a bit boring, really, but a story about a TV series, 10 episodes a season, about what life is really like in school, because it is not anything like Teachers or Waterloo Bloody Road. I
How
would do.
dare you? Waterloo Road is exactly how I remember school. All right. Us and the teachers, we were one big team. We'd get into little hijinks, and then at the end of the week, it'd all wrap itself up in a nice moral lesson. That's
Yes.
exactly how school was.
Sort of like Grange Hill, if you're old enough.
Lord have mercy.
None of the kids swear, and you're just like, well, this is bollocks, just on that premise by itself.
It's absolutely. I mean, obviously, it is absolute tripe. It's totally written for entertainment with the most minimal of knowledge of what day-to-day experience actually is like in a school. I would do. I mean, this is ridiculously. It's so ambitious. It's probably hubris, but I would want to do. Well, I would want to aim to do the educational equivalent of The Wire. What The Wire is to narcotics, I would want my show to be that to school. So it would feature the complete spectrum of people involved, from the poorest of single parent families or something, up to the 2.4 children of the chair of governors, and things like that, to the CEO of the academy turning up in their Range Rover, and things like that kind of thing. And every cross section of society would be sort of involved and reflected in in terms of scope, and in terms of sort of events, it would be what really happens in school, where people are, you'd have some incredibly stressed teachers, you'd have some incredibly self-centered individuals, you would have some probably the odd person engaging in criminal activity in the school, because I mean, I've seen it all happen. I've seen, I mean, to the point where I've got to be careful what I say here. I've seen things happen in school that you just don't expect you would ever imagine you would see. I mean, we all have in our professions, we all have unique insight, and I think it's something that hasn't been done justice to it all. I mean, Grange Hill is the most accurate representation of school on British television.
No, they didn't swear. They didn't swear, so no, it's not.
Okay, but
Biker Grove,
in its essence, it's closer to what school is really like, more than any of those other more recent programs. I mean, they're written for one. I mean, Teachers doesn't even attempt to be remotely realistic. No, Waterloo Road doesn't really. It's just it's entertainment. It's a soap opera set in a school. So that's what I would want to do. And very briefly, in terms of books, I occasionally have an idea for a novel. A premise just occurs to me, and one day I hope to write my own life story, just a tale of incompetence and incontinence. Yeah, wait, that could be the title: Incompetence and Incontinence. Yeah, well, I've already
That's
that
the
kind
name
of
of
thing.
Kevin's book, actually.
I think the name of my book is "Been There, Shit Myself There."
That's true.
Anyway, you get the idea. I do actually. I genuinely intend to write this book. Just literally a list of all my life fails and stupidity and bad choices and ridiculousness and things like that. And I'd want to write an entire book about it. And I could only publish it after I retired. Definitely, I would be utterly unemployable for anyone who got their hands on this thing. And I keep actually a list on my phone of said cock-ups, and whenever one occurs, or I drag one up from the memory, I'll check the list and check I've got it noted down, because that's like going to be my guide to all my fails and fuck-ups, all fun and games.
That kind of leads me to an idea. what about this? Anybody got any interest in this Prince Harry book? Anybody?
No.
No,
No.
I don't. Number one, I need to see a DNA test before I call him Prince of anything. All right, sorry. That's just how I am about it. Okay. Second of all, he's not even if it turns out he is Charles's. Yeah, he's excommunicated. He's gone to America. He's not part of the royal family anymore. Why should we care?
But I mean, there
What's
was
his book gonna be? Oh, I had a terrible morning one day when Jeeves the butler had forgotten to warm my morning slippers.
no. Apparently he's apparently. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I find it interesting because some of the similarities that he says in his story are similar to some of the, like he lost his virginity behind a pub one night. You know what I mean? That sounds like an Irish story. That's something that might have actually happened to me. And and then he says, he killed 25 Taliban people in Afghanistan and all that, and everybody's upset about
his armed guard killed 25.
25 is. I mean, I don't know.
The fact that he thinks we're stupid enough to believe that he was anywhere near the front line is laughable.
But he was a helicopter pilot, so you could say from that standpoint, it is plausible. If he was an infantryman, killing 25 people is a pretty tough lot. You know what I mean? It's not. But I find it interesting that it was. If you're flying in a sort of a Apache helicopter, I don't think killing 25 people would be that difficult. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'm not a helicopter pilot. I don't know anything about it. But I mean, with the armament on it, it seems like it's it's not
exactly so far.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what a realistic school drama would be the kids telling the teachers to fuck off. And the teachers all smoking cigarettes in the staff room going, I want to kill them all. I've got the poison. I know how to do it.
They won't let you smoke in the staff room anymore. That's the hard part about it. That's the hard part about it. And then so if you're going to smoke, you have to go off property to do it.
Yeah,
which makes it very hard.
I know of. I mean, I could not approve of this less, but I know of a teacher that reportedly said in the staff room, I want to tell my class to fuck off. I want to spray them with sulfuric acid.
Damn.
Which is a little on the harsh side, to say the least.
Okay, well, that escalated quickly. I never thought I'd say this before, but Tom, tell me more.
There isn't anything to tell. I can't. I can't. Well, no, I can't substantiate it because I wasn't there. It's a friend of mine claimed they heard that in the staff room. I've no reason to disbelieve them.
Right.
It could be exaggerated. They could have been said as a joke. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah,
but it's
isn't that the way everybody says anything anymore? It's like, yeah, I want to murder you bastards, and then you get arrested, and it's like, oh, I was joking. You know what I mean? I don't really want to overthrow the government. That was a joke. I don't really want to kill every president, and all. And that's the way that it is now. I mean, it's a funny thing that you can say all these threats now, but a verbal threat is not worth shit anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, it seems like at one point in time, people would take it seriously if you said, I want to kill my students. You know what I mean? But now it seems like you actually have to take some sort of, action towards it. Because, I mean, remember when somebody would say that the mere accusation that you'd said it was such a shameful act that that you would resign because you disgraced yourself in the profession. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And now it's just there's no disgrace anymore. I mean, there's no such thing as shame anymore. I think we live in a post-shame environment. People just say what they want to do and then do what they want to do, and it's like, okay, well, go ahead and charge me with it, and I'll get off because, again, you can't prove that I really meant to do it, or whatever, or yes, I did have all that stuff in my garage to do it, but that's because I was doing research for my novel, my biography.
No, that didn't work for Nancy Brophy.
But do you think that would work now?
No, it didn't work for her. She tried that. She shot her husband and said she was doing research for a book.
When was this?
Last year was sentencing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Anthony Todd said that he did everything in a post delirium from a seizure, and that didn't work for him. He was sent down for life, but he's a family annihilator. Death's too good for people like that. Yeah, no, you can't get away with crime by saying shit like that.
Well, it depends on how rich.
Anyway, we're getting off topic here. No,
Yes,
I'm not going to read Harry's Newport. I might buy a copy just so I could symbolically burn it, but it fucking makes me sick. It makes me absolutely livid and sick. Few people, even the bloody 1%, few of them have lived the same luxury lifestyle as that royal bastard has lived. And now he's turning around and going, oh, well, it was all a bit terrible, really. I married a black woman and I knew that pissed daddy off, and now we've been excommunicated. Shut up, you ginger cunt. Shut up and go back to America.
Yes, he's making the case that and one thing that I found was interesting of it is that he made the case that he said, it's amazing to me how bigoted the British press is, and I might have been that bigoted before I got married. So it does make you think of the question of, do white people, I mean, and this is one of those things where I don't know the answer to this, but this is the question I think minorities would ask. Do white people have the capacity to even understand where minorities are coming from?
No.
Unless they marry one.
The only time I've ever come anywhere close to understanding where minorities come from is when I was in a detention center in America to be deported, and everything was in Spanish. And I couldn't, all the books, everything, because the majority of people being deported was Mexicans. And I was sitting there and I was like, this must be how they feel all the time.
Right.
And I was like, but I can't empathize with black people because, it's not the same. But I could empathize a little with Latinos at that point. I was like, yeah, no, this isn't. Because, imagine if you grow up, you're born in a country and you grow up and everyone on TV is different than you, and all the values are different than your cultures. And this isn't your fault. You were born here. You've had no say over that whatsoever. That's pretty shit, Mm-hmm. But I don't know what to do about it.
Well, I think that's the interesting question about it is how does society amalgamate? And I think this is one of those things where we have this sort of idea that that you have in America, for example, and in a lot of respects, Britain too, where you've got these sort of groups of people who move from other parts of the world or the British Empire or whatever. I mean, even whenever you were talking about London in the 60s, and there's this sign said no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when you're in and the thing that people say, well, that wasn't really true. And I can tell you that, from my mom's experience, that was true. Even though she was a Protestant from Northern Ireland and British, she was just Irish. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, And so she couldn't get rented a room in London. And so, and so the thing that you'll find out about it is, it is very difficult to put yourself into another person's shoes whenever you think, oh, that's not like that. But how do you amalgamate the idea of America as the big melting pot, where you come here and you sort of adopt American values? Well, what is American values? I don't. That's the thing where you can't really define that, because it seems like if in America one half of the population thinks the other half is un-American, then you can't even agree on what being an American is. And so, that's where you're at. So there's no way of ever becoming here. So if you then say, well, I want to learn a little bit about everybody's culture and therefore we celebrate everybody's culture, that's great. But then everybody will say, well, that's taken away from the American way of life or whatever to understand these different things. I mean, but that's what I'm saying is the key thing about it is why to agree on something is not wrong, or to try to work towards a more perfect union is not wrong. But then we don't do it. And that's the same thing with Britain and everything else. We don't like immigrants. We don't like these other people moving from Pakistan or from India or wherever. Or where, somewhere in Europe. And that's the thing. You gotta get out of Europe for that. And then you complain about the fact that your house cleaner went back to Bulgaria or something. You can't have it both ways.
Nope.
But in a lot of cases, that's the way these folks have it. It's like, I don't want these immigrants to come in, and then they get pissed off because you can't go to the Home Depot and find Mexicans that'll work for $10 an hour. You know what I mean? And make them and rack their backs and hire them illegally. So I mean, that's the question. It's a chicken and the egg thing. They wouldn't come to America if corporations and stuff didn't secretly hire them and people didn't hire them. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Saudi Arabia is a very rich country, but you don't see people just rocking up in Saudi Arabia saying, "Hey, go ahead and feed me and give me a job." You know what I mean? Because they won't hire you, unless you're in Dubai or something. But then they'll bury you underneath the soccer stadium.
Gordon Bennett.
Anyway.
So with 7 minutes left, are we actually going to talk about EastEnders? I could just about cope with hearing about EastEnders for 7 minutes.
Me and Kevin decided we're going to do a separate show for EastEnders.
Ah.
Yeah.
What do you actually intend to talk about? Just the current thing or all about it, sort of,
the week's events.
Yeah. What happened this week? The sort of the breakdown of the week and our reaction to it and whether we're happy or not with the way that it came out.
Yeah, there's several different storylines going on, and we can venture an opinion on each of them.
The sad thing about this week's stuff, I will say about EastEnders, is there's sort of underwhelming different things that happened. Now, EastEnders for me had been going really good. And then you get all G'd up for the fact that it's Christmas time. I mean, part of the big thing about soap operas is there's the EastEnders time. Like there's Christmas time, and that's whenever everybody's going to get married, somebody's going to get divorced, somebody's going to die. This is just the way that this always is. It doesn't. Obviously, that's the way it was even on Coronation Street or Emmerdale or whatever. And so, okay, these are the people who's going to, die or this and that. And it just seems so not tied together very well at all. And it's just what I didn't like about it is, for example, you live down by the water, don't you? You live by sort of Dover. You know what the cliffs of Dover are like, Tom, don't you?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
well,
No, it's too soon.
What?
No, I'm just saying. So if somebody was going across a field in a car and sort of like launched over the cliffs of Dover, there's a good sense that they wouldn't actually hit the water, for one, and two, if they did hit the water, yeah, if they did hit the water, it wouldn't be very, very deep water. And you wouldn't necessarily survive it and be able to climb down from now. And then if you were following that car in another car and you stopped it on the cliffs of Dover, that you could immediately find a way to get down to the beach and then rescue these people who had been in a submerged car by the cliffs of Dover. So that was one of the ends of one of the stories that Danny Dyer went through. Danny Dyer was brought off the show because he apparently went into the English Channel and got swept away while looking for a car that had plunged into the water off the cliffs of Dover.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that annoyed me. It wasn't the car going over. It was him jumping off the cliffs of Dover that pissed me off about that.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, well, he's definitely dead. Just like, no.
I think
just washes out.
Okay, there's there's Acapulco cliff divers and Dover cliff divers. And if you ever go down, you can see Tom on a weekend diving off the cliffs of Dover straight into the ocean, and he's fine. And obviously,
not the way that cliff divers do, not the straight body, straight neck, straight arms. No, he just belly flops, and he's totally fine. But whatever.
No, I'm not trying. I'm not going to do a sort of. I'm not desperate enough for YouTube or TikTok fame to try and actually do it myself, just to try and get on the news or whatever. I'd be the next corpse there to fish out of the bloody English Channel.
Yeah,
that's the worst part, because they didn't do that. They didn't say, "Oh, we found his body." They left it ambiguous in case Danny Dyer wants to return. And I'm just saying, even if you do come back, I'll never respect you again. Like,
no,
the worst death up until this point had been Ronnie and Roxy dying 3 years ago. That was easily one of the worst deaths on EastEnders. But this just took the cake, and it's been 2 weeks, and I'm still angry about it.
Well, yeah, but the fact that Danny Dyer can always come back. I mean, the fact that he and Lord Lucan
they're on the same island somewhere.
Yeah, swim out of the English Channel together, and they'll be like, "I don't remember what was going on whatsoever." And then he says, "Oh, this is my gaff right here. This is my gaff right here." And then they can go in there. But what do you think? So Janine's in jail. Yeah. I think now that I'm going to go there. I think now that Kat has thrown her lot in with Phil, that Alfie might go with what's her nuts, the blonde one, the alcoholic one, Linda.
I don't think. I think he's leaving.
You see, I always liked Alfie. He's funny. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe he's too jolly. He's too happy.
Honestly, he's always been nails down a chalkboard for me.
So, he's just too much for you.
It's a soap opera, so a lack of acting talent is a prerequisite, but some people's lack of acting talent is too much. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Go back to Daz commercials. You were good at Daz commercials, not so good at EastEnders.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, you never know.
And I want it noted, for the record, that we decided we were going to do a separate EastEnders show because Tom and Nikki had enough of us talking. But who brought it up on the show tonight?
Well, you said at the start we were going to talk about it a wee bit, so I'm not holding that against them. You said we were going to talk about it.
Kevin does it to irritate me, but I don't care anymore because joke's on you. I just totally tune you guys out. I have no idea what you guys have been talking about at all.
I do it to irritate you.
Yeah.
The idea that I would do anything to irritate somebody.
You're Irish, don't even.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like sand in your crack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were like wet sand in my underwear.
Yeah. That's all right.
It's okay.
Sometimes it's irritating, but sometimes you just move it.
Sometimes it hits the right spot.
Just the right spot, and you're like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
If you could do without,
will you two just get a room?
Oh well.
They're just jealous because you and I get along so well.
Yeah, it's because I think I get you. Sort of. I mean, in order to irritate, I mean, what do you think about that, Nikki, as a statement, though? In order to irritate the shit out of somebody, you have to sort of get them.
Yeah,
Because if you
do.
didn't get them, you wouldn't irritate them.
Like, that's true enough. I mean, intentionally.
Yeah.
If in order to irritate someone intentionally, you have to get them.
That's why I'm saying you and Richard really like each other. I mean, know each other. I'm not saying you like each other.
I was like, yeah, we don't like each other.
Get them. Do you mean understand them?
Yes.
Yeah, you sort of understand how their mind, their thought process.
Yeah, like I know how to irritate Richard, and Richard definitely knows how to get one over on me too. So.
Well, he certainly knew how to get one over on me this bloody week.
Yeah, he told me immediately what had happened, and I just started laughing.
Absolutely owned.
I mean, sometimes I think you understand me well enough, Tom, but then you do things like that. It's like he just doesn't get me in the slightest.
No,
I do.
He's leaving himself that vulnerable.
I just thought you were on. I just thought we were in. I just thought it was like, no, joking aside, this is serious. I thought it was like shit hit the fan moment, or whatever. And so I was like oh, right, yeah, get it. I went into serious mode. And once you'd got me in that, I was, next thing you know, I'm dreading Nikki's going to send me a bloody flap snap or something.
Flap snap. I love that. No, I don't send people flap snaps.
No, I know, but Richard sort of used it as a barometer to show just how traumatized you currently are.
Yeah.
It was a low blow, but you had me nailed, man. Hats off to you. Owned.
It's just so beautiful. It's one of those things you put in a little scrapbook of memories and you take it out on cold nights and go, yeah.
I can put it in my book. Where's my phone? I need to make a new note. Owned and Told by Richard, 7th of January, 2023.
Tom, a teacher's tale. A roller coaster of a novel crammed with sizzling gypsies.
That's Blackadder.
Blackadder
the Butler's Tale by Gertrude Perkins.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Edmund.
Season 3. Season 3.
Yes, 3. Ink and Incapability. Yeah, 3. Quite right. I'll punch myself in the face thoroughly the moment the podcast's done.
I mean, you laugh, but I once got into a quizmaster at a pub quiz over that. They played Blackadder the second theme, and I wrote Blackadder the second, and then they accepted just Blackadder as an answer. And I was like, no, that's Blackadder too. But, years later, I can look back and go, that guy was really wrong. I was right to do that.
Oh, I was seething with rage at a pub quiz once, when we had to say which word appears the most often in all the Bond titles, and the winning answer, I was to describe it as controversial is an understatement. Their answer was never, which appears 3 times, but it only does if you include Never Say Never Again, which you don't.
Why?
Because it's not a canon Bond film.
But because it's not a Cubby Broccoli?
Correct. It's not a proper James Bond film. It just isn't. Everyone knows it, but they said it was. And they said with Never Say Never Again and Tomorrow Never Dies, the word never appears 3 times in Bond films, making it the winning entry, which it isn't.
Oh, you're talking about in the titles.
Yep. Sorry to be clear.
Yeah, so I was like, wait a second, what?
Yeah, because was
Bond?
When did it be 007?
Yeah,
in
never
the titles of the Bond films.
But so there was 2 movies that came. Was it Roger Moore and Never Say Never came out? Sean Connery came out about the same time, because Lazenby came out after.
They're both Sean Connery, just about 10 years apart. It's a remake of Thunderball.
Right.
Well, You can't read. Well, I suppose they did it with Tomorrow Never
But that's
Dies.
what they bloody tried to do, and it was not very good. I think every time I read the story, I forget it about how it all came to be and who was involved and things. But all it beyond the name, James Bond, and it wasn't the same studio, wasn't MGM. So
Didn't
yeah,
they didn't David Niven make a Casino Royale movie?
wasn't that Peter Sellers? No,
Or
I'm not
was it
sure.
Peter Sellers? Yeah,
I'm not sure.
it was something like that. And then some people considered that to be the first Bond
Well,
film.
exactly. I mean, that's even more. Well, that's probably to the same level of non-canonical or nature or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, you can get into these arguments about it, but I mean, obviously, yeah, that I don't think too many people would consider that. But then it is a good piece of trivia that to some that is the first movie, and then to other people it's Doctor No.
Oh, I've seen. I know one pub quiz. The answer was outrageously wrong, and it was. And you'll back me up on this. They said, "What is the main ingredient, or what grain is fermented and distilled to make Scotch whiskey?" Or I think they might have just said whiskey, and the obvious answer is barley. But the answer that they read out as correct was rye, which is what Canadian whiskey is made from.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
obviously you call it.
bonkers.
Yeah.
When he read out the answer was right, I was like, Darren, mate, are you absolutely off your rocker?
Yeah. Yeah. What about this? What about that? What about that American Pie song? You can't drink whiskey and whiskey. It's whiskey and rye. So therefore, rye cannot be whiskey.
There you go. Yeah, it's, and I think American whiskey, legally for it to be called whiskey, has to be distilled from at least 51% corn.
Right. It has to have a corn content, and you can only single distill it. You can't. You don't. Like American whiskey is single distilled. Scottish whiskey is double distilled, and Irish whiskey is triple distilled. And you can't. And you can't use the cask more than once in America. So a lot of times, if you go to a Scottish whiskey distillery and an Irish distillery, you'll find ones that say like Jim Beam and Jack Daniels on it because they use that oak barrel and then ship it to Ireland, burn it out, and then they'll put the whiskey in that in there.
Or sometimes they won't burn it out and they will finish. You get sort of single malts, so Scotch single malts finished in sherry casks or finished in bourbon casks and things like that, and just to give it an extra complexity to the flavour.
Right.
I love whiskey. I got 2 bottles for Christmas.
I can't drink whiskey. It tastes like gasoline to me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But speaking of random facts, I learned something interesting over Christmas. You know what? Cadbury's flakes.
Yeah.
Did you know it's impossible to melt them in a microwave?
I did not know that.
Weird.
But I've got a Cadbury's fact for you. This is a true fact, and every time I tell people, they don't believe me. But my great ancestor Hans Sloane was from County Down in Northern Ireland. Obviously, it was at the time it was Ireland, and he went to Jamaica. He was the physician to the Jamaican governor at the time, and he learned how to make chocolate from the native folks, and he had a dyspeptic tummy, so he, instead of using the idea of putting like sort of a chili flake in it and everything like that, because at one point in time it was sort of a hot sort of a dish, he put milk in it. So he's actually claimed to be the person who came up with milk chocolate, invented it, and sold it to Cadbury's. Yeah, that was my great uncle Hans Sloane. That was the Marquis of something, and he founded the British Museum, and something in Chelsea or something, the Physician's Garden in Chelsea, and the British Library. So there you go.
Interesting. But I didn't believe the flake thing, so I went and got some, and it turned out to be true. You can't melt a flake in the microwave.
But
You can,
is
however,
this
set fire to your microwave, trying to melt a flake.
That sounds like quite a bitter experience.
No, you know James O'Brien?
No.
Not sure I do. No.
He runs a radio show on LBC. And he does this thing called the Mystery Hour. And people ring in with random facts or ask random questions, and they have to find out the answer. And that came up. And I didn't believe it at all. So I went and got some flakes, and you can't melt them in a microwave.
Yeah.
Which it's really weird when you see how brittle and flaky they are. You'd think that it'd be really easy to melt them, but they don't melt.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
look
just
how
not
quickly
enough,
they melt in
there's
hot
not
chocolate.
enough moisture content. Is that what it is?
It's got something to do with the distribution of the fat molecules. I did look it up.
The weirdest thing that I ever
Incredible.
heard on the radio and then tried out was the fact about how to hypnotize a chicken. Did I ever tell you the story about the hypnotizing the chicken?
No, you've never told me this
Oh,
story.
yeah, this is a Northern Irish thing. That if you take a chicken and you
You can't keep saying that like it's a blanket excuse. Okay.
No, I'm just saying. I don't think any.
You can't keep saying it's okay. I'm from Northern Ireland.
No,
okay.
no. I'm just saying. Well, people would say, "Why the f do you know this shit?" You know what I mean? It's because people in Northern Ireland don't have a lot of money, and apparently a lot of chickens around. So therefore, so you go out and you get a chicken. If you get a chicken and you put it on pavement or some kind of a road where you can take it, and you put the thing down and put its head on the ground, and you take a piece of chalk and you draw a line going away from the chicken's eye. It will not move. It hypnotizes the chicken. It won't move. And
I have chicken, so I'm going to try this.
Yeah, you could try it, and so there's various cases where everybody tries it, and and like if you have a lay-in chicken or whatever like that, they won't move. And even if, so you have to, get up the next morning and do it. Now, whenever you break the line, then they'll oftentimes freak out and attack you. So but you can, so if you're going to do it, Richard, make sure that you film it. So when the chicken freaks out and attacks you, then we can all watch it on YouTube.
All right then. I think that'll wrap us up for this week. That was a good Happy New Year show. Welcome back for everyone. Kevin, you haven't picked the topic in a while. What do you want to talk about next week?
I have no clue, but I have no clue whatsoever. I kind of talked about everything I want. I think Nikki should pick it. I think Nikki should pick it. She's been very quiet.
Yeah.
Right, Nikki, what do you want to do next week?
Talk about a topic that I come up with at the last possible moment. Probably regarding, true crime or something.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about a good crime thing, and like we started to talk before the program. We started to talk about the Idaho thing, and this 4 quadruple murder in Idaho, and they think that the guy's caught. We just got the statement out, the charging document whenever the guy came back, and it's pretty gruesome. But we could, but something like that. Obviously, we never have a shortage of gruesome crimes in America that we could talk about.
That's true. All right. So we'll return next week to talk about a topic Nikki will decide probably next Saturday.
That's very true.
good night from me, if she remembers at all, and it's good night from them. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Night.
Night, people.